Wednesday, May 29th. We're doing this on a Wednesday. It's been the beginning of summer and things are changing.
Yeah. Well, this works better for both of our schedules right now. Also, I got a little bit more time to think about details that take a little more research rather than just stuff off the top of my head.
Because it's summer?
Because it's summer.
See, I lose time when it becomes my kids are younger.
Bit more focus. I'm out of school. I'm not teaching right now.
Right.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about our evolutionary background and when we don't live the way we were evolved to do, how we then treat that medically. So we evolved out in the Serengeti, getting tons of exercise, not eating any simple sugars, only complex sugars. We would binge on protein periodically and not eat any sugars for a while. And then we would eat just roots and raw roots that were difficult to digest. So we had very little in the way of insulin spike responding to glucose rises. And at the same time, we were getting tons of exercise. We're walking over 6 miles a day. We're digging. We're running to things. All of these things were what we were evolved to, how we were evolved to live. And as modern Americans, we don't do that. We're lazy. We like to sit around. We love the tasty food. We like our cheeseburgers. We like high cholesterol foods. We like fatty foods with lots of triglycerides. And we like sugary foods that boost the blood sugar. And we're sick because of this. And so various...
We're sick because of the delicious things.
And our lack of exercise, that combination. And so, you hit about 50 years old and suddenly your cholesterol's through the roof and your blood sugar starts going up, and you see the doctor and they start recommending things that you do. And so what are these things? These are things that will get you back on track medically to do what you should be doing in your life. But many of us can't do the lifestyle changes necessary. If you want to lower your cholesterol, you can radically increase your exercise, decrease your particularly red meat contents, but anything with cholesterol in it. We can make our own cholesterol, but if you actually stop eating meat, your cholesterol will go down.
Is this something that if you do this earlier in life, will it affect you later in life? Or this is just a thing you have to do continuously throughout life?
I would say continuously throughout life, but it seems to be more important as you get older. In many cases, particularly exercise, not just as a habit to start earlier in life, but we talked about it in osteoporosis as something that you build up ability early in life so that you can do it later in life. Generally stamina, strength, all these things you need to build early in life.
Yeah.
Later in life is when you really need to have done those things. And if you didn't do them, now is when you have to start, but it makes it much more difficult. That if you don't have the energy, it's more difficult to exercise. Starting off with smaller things and working up definitely does work well. All the studies out there show that even small amounts of exercise can have tremendous benefits. But to try and get up to hunter-gatherer levels of exercise is going to be really, really difficult. You literally should be walking at least 6 miles a day, which almost none of us do.
I don't even see how that's possible. It takes a significant amount of time.
All of these things are going to be taking a lot of your time. Just the sheer amount of vegetables you eat, you should be eating essentially raw as much as possible to slow down their absorption. You're just going to be either chewing or walking all of your time, which is what we evolved to do. Just sitting there, just chewing roots and vegetables and walking all day, every day.
I can definitely say I am resistant to the way we have evolved. I do not want to be doing that.
And that's what we evolved for as well. We evolved to not want to do these things. We evolved to eat the delicious food because that's the stuff that gets the most fat. And we really, really want fat. And we evolved to avoid exercise because exercise is costing us calories, and we evolved to maximize our calorie storage so we always have enough fat for our giant brains. So our giant brains are telling us to not do the things that are healthy for us and telling us to sit around and watch TV and eat potato chips. So we all can fight this a little bit, and any kind of improving of diet, less simple sugars, and more exercise. All of these things are going to help you incrementally. But it's still a high bar. It's a really high bar for all of us. And so, letting ourselves off the hook a little bit, what happens? We end up, as I mentioned, going to the doctor, and the doctor starts prescribing medications.
I mean,
for us.
when I hit 50, the doctor literally said to me, "You're 50 now, so there's things we need to talk about."
Exactly.
Just that. It was a trigger.
It's just a trigger, and it really does seem to happen at that time. So your triglycerides start going up, your bad cholesterol goes through the roof, your glucose levels start going up, and all of these things are bad for you for really obvious reasons.
So this is happening to everyone, is what you're saying.
This is happening to everyone, some more than most, certainly Americans more than most, because we're sort of at the forefront, the cutting edge of not exercising and eating lots of sugar.
Yeah,
that's
and white flour.
And we're now spreading
foods.
this to the rest of the world. I don't know if we're a neo-colonial power in that sense, but our sort of soft neo-colonialism is one of cultural spread, and with our cultural spread comes these other problems. And so this is American culture in particular, but it's becoming world culture. And so one of the things that we particularly treat these problems with is statins. So statins actually reduce the formation of cholesterol in your liver. And you can reduce your dietary cholesterol, but we make about 70% of our own cholesterol.
Yeah, I mean, I know that in my body personally, that ingested cholesterol did not necessarily translate to serum cholesterol. It had a dip, and then it came back, even when I was maintaining the same diet.
Your body can make cholesterol just fine, even if you have a zero cholesterol diet. So if you have an entirely plant-based diet, there'll be no cholesterol in it, and you'll make tons of cholesterol, particularly from something like potato chips, say. Potato chips have zero cholesterol. They're all plant matter, the plant-based oils in it, but the sugars in the potato chips, the starches that are made out of pure glucose, and the fats themselves are going to work together to provide all the things you need to make lots and lots of cholesterol.
Oh.
And so it doesn't matter if you completely avoid cholesterol, you can still make it, and your diet can still be bad.
And your diet can still be bad in a way that will cause your body to make too much cholesterol.
Exactly.
No one ever explained that to me.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So it's glucose again is directly related to triglycerides because it's related to the whole insulin problems. And you're going to be directly making more cholesterol in response to a high-fat, high-sugar diet, even if there's zero cholesterol in your diet. So again, you make about 70% of your own cholesterol.
It doesn't even need to be high sugar. It could be high carbohydrates, right? That could still get there.
The simpler the carbohydrate, the more circulating insulin you're going to have. And the more circulating insulin you're going to have, the more cholesterol you're going to end up with.
Right.
So yeah, if you're eating raw roots, you're going to have very low circulating insulin, and you're not going to end up with high cholesterol. But since we don't eat raw roots, we eat cooked potatoes. That's going to go directly into high glucose, and it's going to lead to high triglycerides and high cholesterol. So yes, you can change these things through diet. Even better, you can change it through exercise. Exercise reduces cholesterol, but again, it's going to be really, really difficult. You should be striving for these things on your own regardless. I'm not saying you should just let yourself off the hook and eat potato chips and watch TV. But let's say you've hit 50 because life has been good and you made it that far.
Yeah.
Now you have to do something about the lifestyle you have, which is not evolutionarily perfect, but let's say you're doing your best and it's still just not quite good enough.
Still not good enough.
Exactly. So the doctor is going to recommend you take statins to control your overall cholesterol. Now,
check.
Exactly. So your liver makes statins mostly overnight. Sorry, not makes statins. Makes cholesterol mostly overnight. And statins inhibit the coenzyme that basically starts that process. So cholesterol is made out of fats, and those fats are modified to become the different kinds of cholesterol, the high density lipoproteins and the low density lipoproteins. And so if you slow down the production of all cholesterol by this rate limiting reaction, so you've actually blocked that enzyme, then that's going to have a whole bunch of sort of knock-on health benefits. So by slowing down the production of cholesterol, the statins actually bind at something like 10,000 times the rate of the natural enzyme. So they really interfere with that enzyme's binding. Now you have less cholesterol in your liver. So when your liver doesn't get enough cholesterol, it needs cholesterol. So it actually is going to make or allow to be made or prefer. Some of the biochemistry is not completely clear on this, but it's going to encourage the production of the good cholesterol, the high density lipoproteins. So the good cholesterol is the kind of cholesterol that goes to your body and brings fats and triglycerides back to the liver. And so now your liver is hungry for cholesterol because it can't make its own. And so it's actually scavenging it from the rest of your body. So you're getting this sort of extra added benefit of not having overall levels of cholesterol. And now your body is switched into a metabolism that is going to decrease the bad cholesterol, taking fats from your liver, and increasing the good cholesterol, taking fats back to the level.
Basically sending little cannonballs around, knocking out the puffy.
Well, it's gotten hungry. It's saying, bring food to me.
Down, yeah.
So normally your liver provides you with food. It provides you with your glucose. It provides you with your fat. It's your general storage unit. It does some cleaning of the blood as well. But this very large organ takes up a significant amount of your region in below your lungs, sort of
internal real estate.
Your internal real estate, and a significant amount of your overall metabolic costs. It's something like 10-20% of your total metabolic issue. A lot of your blood is in your liver.
Like as big as your brain.
It's as big as your brain. Yeah. So there's your muscles, your brain, your heart and liver. And your gut. These are the things you do with your body, and so this is one of the main uses of blood and energy is your liver. So when your liver gets hungry, it starts scavenging fats and cholesterols from the rest of your body. And so that's really good. Statins also do some really interesting things in terms of overall heart benefits. It gives secondary effects that benefit your heart because it stabilizes plaques. So if you have high cholesterol, you will have started to form plaques. Plaques are what cause hardening of the arteries. Mm-hmm. It's cholesterol sticking to the side of the artery, which then get a sort of fibrous mat over them that holds them in place. And then you actually get white blood cells sticking on that. So the whole thing starts to form permanently sclerotized arteries, and this is what causes long-term heart issues.
Right, but it seems so. Therefore, the volume is reduced.
Yeah. So these are not going to grow as fast when you have statins because you have less cholesterol. But the other problem with the plaque formation and these sort of blood clots, which is what's actually forming, is that they can break off.
Right.
They can break off and travel through the body. They can cause strokes. But the most common problem is they'll get stuck somewhere in your heart, often on another plaque that's already in your heart. So one will break off, stick to the other plaque, and then this whole big lump starts forming inside the arteries of your heart. This is what we use, you put in a stent to open up the blood vessels so your heart can keep working. So the statins actually stabilize these plaques. They stabilize that sort of fibrous network over it.
Oh, you mean throughout the body?
Throughout the body. So
that these things don't go rogue and get caught in the heart.
Exactly. They also lower overall inflammation. Lowering inflammation reduces the potential for plaques to form. Plaques tend to form when there's a narrower artery. You get more turbulence, so that turbulent flow basically slams molecules against the wall of the artery and they stick. And so with lower inflammation, it's actually working on the nitric oxide things that are related to vasodilation in general. So you're going to have better flow through the heart. It actually improves the endothelium, which very speculative. Okay. Statins actually improve your endothelium, which is really weird. Okay.
But not, yeah.
Anyway, okay. I just wanted to point out that very much not a medical doctor. I very much am a biological doctor. So I feel quite able to talk about these things. This is, totally things I can read the papers very easily and understand them. But any information I give you in terms of recommendations for a particular person, I am not doing that. I am not a medical doctor recommending a particular medication.
But you're saying there is literature that says there is scientific proof that it does this?
There is evidence indicating support for this. And so I just wanted to speculate briefly that thinking about COVID, which really attacks the endothelium, this might be one of the reasons that long COVID is a problem. Is if your endothelium has been damaged or it has swelling or something like that, this is going to have all sorts of issues throughout your body, including in your heart.
The endothelium is it's the wrapper. Yes?
Basically, yeah. And so this is going to be improving all of these functions. You could actually end up with slightly more energy because of this, or possibly countering what long COVID did. Very speculative, not seeing anything on the literature. I'm just thinking about it because I happen to know two things that affect the endothelium, right? We've got COVID is bad for it, and statins are good for it. So it's interesting to think about it as being good for it in that sense. In addition, it actually reduces formation of blood clots in general. So it's antithrombotic. So thrombosis is blood clots and swelling, and this is actually going to reduce the formation of platelets and clogs.
I hate how I sound like a salesperson, but it sounds like, from what you're saying, the earlier in life that you get on this particular drug, the better it would be for you.
I don't know about that.
But if you're saying that these plaques develop as you get older, and these keep things in place and prevent new plaques from forming,
that could be.
Then getting on it
if
sooner
there's
means you
evidence,
have less plaques overall.
Usually, the symptom of increasing plaque would be increased blood pressure. I don't think treating things that haven't been a problem yet is a good idea. So if you were young and you started seeing your blood pressure going up and you noticed your cholesterol going up, you should treat it early. But if your cholesterol is fine and your blood pressure is fine, I don't think you should treat a problem.
No, but I'm just saying, like, the moment you see a problem, you can start.
Yeah, you might not want to muck around too much if this is something where.
I don't like being on drugs. I'm just saying it sounds
no.
like.
Once your cholesterol starts going up, you should really start thinking about statins for a whole number of reasons. And there's been some very, very large gold standard double-blind placebo studies showing improvements not just in cholesterol but also in just total longevity. So this will help you live longer, mostly because of the heart improvement. Because you're not forming blood clots, you're not forming arteriosclerosis, you're not getting high blood pressure. All of these things are improved by the statins. Now, I want to talk about...
Isn't this this is one of the most prescribed drugs in the United States?
Yeah, there's a reason for it. There's
and it's been prescribed since what, the early 50s?
It's well understood. There's a whole number of different kinds of statins. They all pretty much work in the same way, inhibiting this particular enzyme that starts.
And do you have any knowledge of what some of the side effects?
Well, that's what I was just wanted to get into, is what are the negative side? Why don't we just take this from birth?
Exactly. Yeah, why not just take it? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
like a vitamin.
One of the problems is what's called the nocebo effect. So a placebo is where you get better from taking a sugar pill. A nocebo effect is when you get worse from taking something that shouldn't do that to you. And so doctors will not tell you about the side effects of statins very often because people experience the side effects of statins at much higher rates if they know about them. So it's a nocebo effect. So if you don't know about the side effects, your rate of side effects is about 5%. If you do know about the side effects, your rate of side effects is about 20%. So it's much, much worse for you if you know. So spoiler alert. If you are listening, try not to take it to heart too strongly, but I am about to describe what goes wrong. So the common side effects that one sees from statins are muscle weakness, muscle cramping, and just general muscle pain. And it's not completely understood how these things happen, but the general hypothesis is that this is due to calcium release. We talked about calcium ions when we were looking into osteoporosis, very tightly controlled in the body. Calcium ions are how nerves are involved in nerve signaling, ion pumping across the membrane, all these kind of things. And they're also involved in muscle contractions. And so your muscles have calcium stores that are part of the signal that tells a muscle to contract. The statins interfere with this and cause calcium stores to be released. So a big bag of calcium sitting in a muscle cell is suddenly exploded, releasing calcium everywhere, which causes the neighboring muscle cells to contract. When the neighboring muscle cells contract, it makes them more likely to also release calcium. So it's a lot like the way, let's say, lactic acid works in a fatigued muscle. Lactic acid is the buildup from anaerobic metabolism. Lactic acid then interferes with the way muscles work and causes further muscle contraction, which is a muscle cramp. That's basically what's happening here. So it's going to interfere with overall muscle function. It's going to cause muscle cramps. It's going to cause muscle weaknesses. It can damage the muscles long term, but that's extremely rare. That would be with someone who had, very, very bad metabolism within their muscles and probably extremely weak muscles to start with. People with healthy muscles contract these muscles a lot. When you contract a muscle, it pumps the muscle. It moves all those things like lactic acid out. And so it's going to be the number one way to fight this sort of side effect is, again, increasing exercise. So even though you're on the statins, you still need to exercise. When you're exercising, you're moving the blood through your muscles. It's going to move this calcium out. You're much less likely to suffer muscle cramps or the muscle weakness. However, if you're just sitting there lying in bed all day and you're taking statins and you start to feel weak, what's the last thing you're going to want to do is exercise. Mm-hmm. So there is a little bit of a catch-22 problem there.
I do have a anecdotal thing is that when I was given statins, my doctor told me to take CoQ10, and I did take CoQ10. He said, take it with it. But by changing the amount that I take and the timing of taking it, I don't experience the side effects that I think I was experiencing. I may be treating a nocebo with a placebo.
It's really hard to say.
Yeah. I know.
So
I also am exercising more. So
yeah. So CoQ10 and ubiquitol are enzymes involved with oxidative metabolism. And oxidative metabolism is, when it functions correctly, doesn't produce the side effects of muscle fatigue, etc. So by increasing your ability to properly process and oxidize sugars and turn that into ATP energy for your muscles, you're going to have less fatigue, probably less muscle cramping, all of these things. So it will actually treat the problem, but it doesn't treat it directly. It doesn't interfere with these calcium releases, the calcium ions in the muscles. It's just improving your muscle ability overall. So to the extent, if CoQ10 works, and a lot of people say it does, I don't know as much about this. It's not as easy to understand. The double-blind massive studies haven't been done in the same way.
Have not been done there, yes.
It should basically give everyone a little bit of energy. And so it might well function to fight the lack of energy that statins could create. Because you need CoQ10 to metabolize any sugar, to metabolize glucose. So any cell that uses energy, which is all of them, have these enzymes in them all the time. So they can't be something you actually have a deficiency of. You're not treating a deficiency by taking CoQ10.
Again, it could be a placebo.
On the other hand, it might be that you're limiting the rate because you have only a limited amount of CoQ10. By giving a little bit more, you speed up that rate just a tiny bit. Again, this is speculative. You're talking about metabolism across a wide range of things. If there were any place in the body that would need a little bit of extra, you'd expect to find that in your muscles and your brain. The two things that are going to be using a lot of energy all the time. CoQ10 is supposed to help with both of those things. So it improves oxidative metabolism in your brain and your muscles. You get fewer oxygen radicals, you have fewer of the things that cause damage. So basically the whole process is improved. So I'm not saying CoQ10 is bad. I'm just saying it might do nothing. It probably does something. And it probably does something that will help you.
And we have no proof of any of this except that my doctor said take CoQ10 with a statin.
People have been recommending CoQ10 for a number of different reasons for over 30 years. I've heard it particularly for brain health, but this muscle health, basically it's going to be working the same way. It's reducing the toxic byproducts of oxidative metabolism and increasing the rate of oxidative metabolism so that you're getting more energy from the system. So that's energy for your brain, it's energy for your muscles. You're going to feel better.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's all a placebo. But I suspect it actually helps, and that's why your doctor was recommending it.
Yeah.
So these are things you can do, but again, it's not going to directly affect this calcium buildup problem.
Right.
The other
exercise, though, will.
Exercise will, right. These are calcium ions that are naturally occurring in your muscles, and you just want to pump them out.
Combining these things,
Yes.
as always, yes.
Absolutely. And so, even if you're on statins, if you are eating nothing but fat and sugar, you're still going to end up with high cholesterol. So again, you still need to have better diet and improve your exercise. You just don't need to live like a hunter-gatherer.
Yeah, I have to admit that when my doctor increased my statins, I was like, I can eat a little more meat now.
It may have been true, but yeah, I'm on a very low dose of statins, and it's only barely touched my my cholesterol.
No, see, everyone's body is different. A low dose of statins really sent my cholesterol down.
I'm going from taking it every other day to taking it every day, which is what my doctor recommended in the first place.
Yes.
So yeah. So yeah. Anyway, doctors have different opinions than I do. Where I was being a little careful.
Hey, it's a thing of art. Like,
it's a thing of art, exactly. Yeah, being a doctor is a lot like being a cook. There's a lot of science involved, but each time is a single occurrence, right? Every meal just happened once.
Exactly.
Next time you'll try and do it better.
Exactly right.
So anyway, the calcium isn't just happening in your muscles. It also happens in the Isle of Langerhans in your pancreas. So the Isles of Langerhans in your pancreas are what produce insulin. And so you actually have a problem producing insulin correctly when you're taking statins, and it can lead to type 2 diabetes as a possible side effect as your glucose levels go up. So I think in your case, your doctor also recommended metformin.
Yes, because my A1C is slowly creeping up. And is it because of the statins?
It's your entire life. Everything is going to be creeping up as you get older, but the statins aren't going to help.
Yeah.
So your glucose levels are going up. Your statins are just going to make this worse. And so you run into more problems. And so one of the things that doctors then recommend is metformin. And so metformin, again, has been around for a really long time. It has relatively few side effects and is generally recommended. It's been around since the 20s.
My doctor actually said, some of us in the community use this as a supplement.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that because this is something that is relatively new. And is only just being talked about, like in this last year. I read a paper from April 2024 saying that this is a brand new idea.
He said this to me about 4 years ago.
Right. And so the 2024 paper was summarizing the literature where people have been on this idea. So your doctor was actually ahead of the curve, and it's seeming like he was right, which is good. Yeah. Nice to hear your doctor's right.
Yeah, he's good.
So the metformin is designed to control blood glucose, and it actually also increases insulin sensitivity. So it's the main treatment for type 2 diabetes, lowers blood glucose while also increasing insulin sensitivity and inhibiting overall insulin levels, because if you have higher insulin sensitivity, you don't need as much insulin. So it's tremendously good for you. It was first found in the 20s. There were a couple different versions of it. I'm not positive about this, but I think that where everything went wrong was fen-phen. I think it was related to a kind of metformin relative combined with some amphetamines, and it started causing bad effects. I can't remember what they were exactly from the 70s and 80s, but a lot of people had really bad effects, and so they banned it. And so then it was out of favor for a while. And starting, I think, in the 90s, it started coming back into favor as a limited treatment for type 2 diabetes, and then it became well accepted for that. And so the current formulation, not combining it with a stimulant, seems to work really, really well for that particular thing, the type 2 diabetes. But because so many people in this country, because of our American lifestyle, have type 2 diabetes or are pre-diabetic, this means hundreds of thousands of people have been taking metformin, and they started discovering that in this formulation, it has a whole bunch of other beneficial effects. So much like statins have a range of things they do for you, metformin has a range of things it does for you. It seems mostly related to lowering glucose. So glucose is a poison, and glucose causes oxidation around your body. So glucose ages you. And by reducing the amount of glucose that you take in, you're actually going to possibly lower your aging process. So it actually slows down the amount of glucose being taken out of your stomach. So you're not getting as many calories from your food. And so this is going to also help you lose weight. So even if you are not type 2 diabetic, this will lower your glucose circulating through your body, will lower the damage from the glucose, and start helping you lose weight because you're not absorbing that glucose. This is going to cause sort of benefits throughout the body, as you are now no longer storing as much fat because, one, you don't have as much glucose in your circulation, so you can lower the amount of insulin. Insulin tells your body to turn glucose into fat. So with less glucose and less insulin, you're going to be making less fat in your body. You're going to be able to handle the small amount of glucose that you are getting. It can cause some problems because it will end up with less glucose in your blood. Less glucose is going to your liver to be stored for energy. That means you have less energy stores in your liver. It doesn't just start on the top end. It also interferes with the release side of things. So your liver stores glucose as glycogen, this giant molecule with lots of glucoses on it. And when you're hungry or exercising, the insulin stops, and you get the glycogen hormone telling you to release the glucose into your blood. And so this gives you the energy when you need it.
The glycogen is converted into glucose in the liver before it is released?
So insulin tells glycogen to store sugar and holds it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it was just stored as glucose, it would be toxic. So it holds it in a molecule that detoxifies it, essentially. Mm-hmm. And then when you have low blood sugar or exercising, glucagon tells the glycogen, I think I misspoke there. Yeah. Glucagon tells the glycogen to release the sugar. That's why you asked me, because I missed a word. Thank you. So now you're releasing more sugar back into your system when you need it. The metformin is going to interfere with this. It's actually going to lower the amount of glucose that is released. So you're going to have less being stored, less being absorbed, and less being released. Now,
which could cause a cycle of depression of energy, no?
Right. So while all of this is good for you because glucose in your blood is bad for you, you need sugar for energy. You need blood sugar for energy. So if you're taking metformin, you could easily start feeling tired all the time. Mm-hmm. You're going to start having muscle weaknesses and things that really start to make you feel tired all the time. Mm-hmm. And so this could then actually be accompanying the statins, where you have muscle weakness and muscle fatigue, making you really not want to exercise. So this is the downside is the overall fatigue that both of these drugs are likely to cause. Now, you mentioned CoQ10 as a way of increasing oxidative metabolism. This will increase energy across the board. It's not going to change the symptoms of calcium release caused by the statins. It's not going to change the amount of sugar being released, but the sugar you have will burn more efficiently if you have all the enzymes you need, and CoQ10 is one of them. So you'll be burning that sugar more efficiently, which is good, presumably. But there are other things that metformin will do. It actually interferes with B vitamin uptake and formation. And so if you start lowering particularly B12, this also is going to make you tired. B12 is necessary for, again, it's all about your energy system, but B12 is involved with hemoglobin. Mm-hmm. So B12 is involving where you get the oxygen to burn the sugar to make the energy. Mm-hmm. And so if you don't have enough B12, you're going to start having less oxygen in your system with which to burn that sugar. If you end up with very low B12, and this can happen from metformin, you can end up with anemia. You actually don't have enough red blood cells in your body. So the weakness can be really pervasive and progressive. So you'll start off fine, but over the years, as you're getting older and everything is not working as well, your B12 is going to be going down and down and down and down and down. So one thing you might consider, again, talk to your doctor, is a B12 supplement. when people have low B12 from metformin, they recommend something like 2,000. I can't remember what the dosage thing. It's not milligrams. It's definitely not milligrams.
Micrograms.
Yeah, I think it's micrograms. It's MCG, but
MCG is not microgram?
It probably is. I'm just used to like scientific notation for a microgram, which is the Greek letter mu followed by a G.
You can't put that on a vitamin bottle.
Exactly. So anyway, so it's MCGs. So I think it's micrograms, but I didn't actually look that one thing up. I said that's probably micrograms.
It does say MCG, that I know. But
yeah. Anyway, so if you have low B12, they recommend between 1 and 2,000 to bring it back up, and then 1,000 micrograms as a steady dose to keep your energy there. So it sort of gives you a rough idea of these things. These are dietary supplements, so they're not prescription. B12 will help anyone get a little bit more energy. It's something that they put in energy drinks. It's something that they recommend for energy. Why is it doing that? Because it's going to increase your red blood cell count, and it's going to increase your ability to take in oxygen.
Is an increase in red blood cell count always a positive thing?
I don't think of any way it can be bad. I mean, there's going to be some sort of limit, but I don't know what that upper limit is.
It'll make you feel like less short of breath.
You're gonna feel like someone who's had more training, right? You're gonna feel, because what does exercise do? It increases your red blood cell count. So it's gonna give you more energy. It's gonna increase how much oxygen goes into your body. You're gonna just have more stamina, etc. And B12 can help with all of that, up to a point. Once you've saturated the system, you're not going to keep making more and more red blood cell as you increase the dosage.
I've also read that that B12 is water soluble, like vitamin C, and therefore what's not necessary in the body just washes away.
I'm not sure about its water solubility. I didn't look into that in particular, but that's true of a lot of these supplements. Is that it will just wash away. CoQ10, same thing.
Yeah.
Even if it's not water soluble, your body can't use the excess you're taking. It's not like vitamin A in a polar bear liver that's going to murder you. But these are vitamins that within the range you're taking them are probably not dangerous.
Yeah.
But also, like vitamin C, you probably already have enough most of the time if you're living a normal life. You don't need extras. I'm saying things that because you're on these medications and you start feeling a little tiredness, this might be a way you can approach the issue. There was one last thing I wanted to mention about the metformin. I want to stay focused on this.
I just want to ask. I also read that metformin also improves the health of the.
Yeah, we were just getting to that.
Okay.
That was my last thing.
Forgive me. We're on the same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So microbiome stuff. If you're not absorbing all of that sugar is still in your gut. And so you actually end up with more bacteria in your gut. Now, this can be good and or bad. Mostly good, but it can be bad. So probiotics in general are good for you. Probiotics in general increase the amount of bacteria in your gut. The makeup of your microflora really matters. Diversity, all of these things matter. So if you are eating lots of sugar and taking metformin, I suspect that's going to lead you towards bad microflora because you're going to have just an excess of sugar in your gut. However, if you have a sort of normal, healthy diet, let's say you're eating a Mediterranean diet, sort of the optimal diet that you as an American can eat because you're not eating raw roots, you're going to have relatively low amounts of sugar coming in because most of the sugars you eat are going to be complex forms from vegetables or whole grains. This is then going to keep a nice steady supply of food for your gut, and you're just going to slightly increase that supply with the metformin because you're not absorbing as much sugar. And so you're not going to send your whole microflora out of whack. However, the microflora that are there are going to end up being the ones that normally eat indigestible sugars. And so these are the ones that often specialize in the soluble fibers. And so these are the ones that you actually want because soluble fiber is something that increases diversity of your microflora and tends to increase health across the board. Particularly with the chemical butyrate, which I mentioned before. Mm-hmm. I did a little bit of research on butyrate. It's a fascinating thing. We get it literally from butter. It's where we get the word from butter to butyrate. It's from the Greek word butter butter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the smell of butter. It's actually the smell of rancid butter. It is a molecule that your stomach actually needs. I'm not saying you should now go on a butter-only diet. I'm just saying that it is something that you need in the right amounts, and we often don't have the right amounts, partly because it's absorbed before it gets to where it needs to be.
Even if you eat butter, you might not have enough butyrate.
It might not get to where it needs to be, the butyrate. Your lower intestine needs butyrate to live. It's one of the energy molecules that your intestinal cells actually take up. If you starve them of butyrate, you will start damaging your intestine. You'll actually your intestine itself will start to decay and not work as well. These are the things related to irritable bowel syndrome and all these other things.
So how do I get butyrate there if eating it doesn't do it?
Fiber. You always knew fiber was good for your intestines. This is one of the reasons why. It's not just the pass-through rate. It's actually feeding your intestine. And you can
soluble fiber, not the insoluble fiber, because there's both kinds. They're different.
Both kinds are important, but the sugars that get to your lower intestines are the ones you haven't absorbed, and that the bacteria
Therefore, right. This is non-digestible, meaning it gets there.
It gets there, exactly.
Right.
And so sugars, fermentable sugars is what they call them.
Why is something I can't digest important and good for me?
Particularly for your stomach. No, for your intestine.
There's things living inside me that need it.
Well, and the things they produce, you need. So it produces something in your lower intestine that keeps your lower intestine alive. Without it, your lower intestine is going to suffer.
So the
and can actually be starved.
Insoluble fiber that gets down to your lower intestine feeds the critters that live down there, and then part of what they excrete is the butyrate that your body needs, that your intestines need.
Exactly.
It's a symbiotic relationship.
Absolutely, it's a symbiotic relationship.
We need to feed them fiber.
And it's larger than that, in that the butyrate, which we talked about in some other talks, also reduces the DNA binding to the histone proteins, and so you're going to increase DNA expression. So butyrate is actually going to allow the DNA to be copied better because it's more accessible to your body. And so it's going to reduce aging in that sense. A lot of aging is either caused by glucose burning things or by your DNA no longer expressing all the things it needs to express properly, which is why everything stops working as well.
So that you can't heal yourself, so that you can't remake yourself.
Everything across the board. It's why everything starts going worse when you hit 50.
Wow.
And
so fiber is literally at the foundation of what makes this possible.
Yes. And so one of the reasons that metformin is now being seen as this sort of off-label way to extend your life is it has so many side benefits. It may be directly anti-aging in this sense. It may be indirectly anti-aging by lowering the glucose. It's going to help you lose weight, which you know is going to be good for you. And so it's going to work really well.
Doesn't it also improve the endothelium? Didn't that? I think I read that somewhere that it also.
It may. I haven't read that or not read that.
I think that both metformin and I did not know about statins. Maybe I'm confused. I have to go back. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. So anyway, so the metformin is going to increase your intestinal health, and it's going to be then causing connections between the vagus nerve, which connects to your lower intestine as well as everything else in your body, and your brain directly.
So now you're going where I was going to ask about, which is now the gut-brain connection that we've been talking about is directly affected and improved by fiber, which feeds that.
So when you have this increased amount of butyrate and other bacteria in your lower intestine, because now these are very happy bacteria, they're telling your vagus nerve that they're happy and that they're getting what they need. And that vagus nerve then goes to your brain and says, everything's A-okay. So you get increased dopamine, you get increased serotonin, your mood improves. And so you're gonna feel happier. All of these things are going to improve. So I just want to finish with, so the basic takeaway for both of these things is possible fatigue. The basic takeaway for the fatigue is you can treat deficiencies either with enzymes or vitamin B12. But overall, the combination of statins and metformin are going to increase your quality of life, your overall lifespan, and generally work together to improve your oxidative metabolism overall. For sort of how you deal with things, you're going to need to help it along, because you're actually lowering some of the feedstock for it, right? You're getting less glucose into the system, and you're possibly lowering the vitamin B12, which makes the oxygen come in with the hemoglobin. So if you can stay on top of that side of things, you will really improve your overall quality of life, in my opinion.
Better life through pharmacology.
Absolutely. And these things, you'd want to start slow and then build it up. Keep an eye on your blood levels of glucose and cholesterol, et cetera. But they really do seem to have the ability to keep your heart working well, keep your blood pressure down, keep your weight down, right? There's a straight ahead sort of aesthetic value there. Generally, even up to and including improving your mood.
It's just crazy. I think the one thing that in my mind connects to all of this, but as a whole episode unto itself, if it's something you want to undertake, is this really connects to the whole world of probiotics, which there's no real science.
Yeah.
For I don't know if you want to go there because there's no science.
No, I don't really want to, but I did want to mention that both of these work better with a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
So again, to stop the muscle cramps, exercise. Don't exercise if you have no muscles whatsoever. You're just going to make things worse, because now you've built up lactic acid, et cetera, going to make the muscle cramps worse. But if you can, start slow, work up, you're going to keep pumping all of those toxins. Same thing with the sugar. Sugar can start building the wrong kind of microflora in your stomach. You're going to get too much of the wrong things and not enough of the good things. So watch your sugar intake. Eat more of the complex carbohydrates. The same things you should have been doing to stop having to take metformin in the first place, but it's going to be slightly more important now, because if you eat a lot of sugar, it's going to go directly to those bacteria, because you're not able to take it out of your stomach as well, your intestines as well.
So then, walking down the street with my kid, I'm doing my best to live, the best lifestyle I can. I've actually cut dessert out, don't have sugar in my coffee, all the rest. Most of my refined sugar is gone, but whenever the kids have an ice cream, I want to bite. Like, I don't have a whole ice cream. At what point does it become crossing a line? Like, it's so
There's
hard
no
to
way to know.
Exactly.
There's no way to know.
It's hard to judge on a day-to-day lifestyle. You don't want to be Puritan about it and cut it out completely, because where's the fun in that? But on the other hand, when do you know that you're making a negative difference or not? I
mean, you should be able to feel it, right? If you eat enough sugar to get the insulin spike and crash, and you feel really tired and you get a headache, that was too much. This.
I'd like to know before I hit that.
Yeah, well, you kind of do.
Yeah.
The same thing for think about what happens if you start getting too much bad bacteria in your stomach. Some of that you might not notice right away. It could be affecting your mood with insulin spikes, et cetera. It could be affecting all sorts of things. But the first thing you're going to start noticing is bloating and gas.
Yeah.
And you're going to have all those bacteria in your stomach producing gas. That would be an indication that you'd gone too far. So these are ways where you can start thinking about your own lifestyle. Taking the medications that your doctor recommends, but then trying to understand what they are doing, so you can make yourself have sort of the optimal life where you have energy, you have the ability to eat what you want, up to a point
within reason.
Yeah. And you have enough energy to keep the exercise going, so you can maintain a healthy lifestyle.
Fascinating and very personal. Because
Absolutely.
These are drugs that I am actually.
Yeah. Well, we hit 50 a while ago, so this is the line we've crossed.
Yes. Happening. All right. Well, thank you so much, Josh. I hope that we can keep coming back to these. I know that we've had a lot of recurring themes, but this is very real. So
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Until next time, folks.